There's something about 2000s shows that really blurred the lines between good and evil in a psychologically thrilling way. One of my favorite shows, Xiaolin Showdown, took this blur even further, and not only stepped up all the villains in Season 2, but slowly trained its audience to view its main characters as the most diabolical figures in cartoon history. Yeah, we're going over the most important season of Xiaolin Showdown.
Dogo, it took him the longest to become an apprentice, and no one thought he would make it. Except for me?
And how a resentful Raimundo was bullied out of being a Shaolin warrior, and Omi slowly turning to the dark side. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny2000, focusing on 2000s movies, TV, and so much more. And today we're gonna go over the most intricate season of kids television. You may remember this from Cartoon Network or even Kids WB.
I do have a certain reputation.
Xiaolin Showdown was such a fun show, and it really questioned everything we knew about morality. But before we get into it, we're gonna need a quick Season 1 recap, aren't we? Xiaolin Showdown made a lot of strides in its first season, introducing the concept of Shengong Wu, magical powered objects that each have their own unique ability, having Raimundo, Clay, Kimiko, and Omi introduced to their story arcs, understanding the temple, the role everybody plays within it, the routine that this show is going to set us up for. If you like fun, quirky, sometimes comedic, episodic TV shows, then this is for you. Until it got to the end of Season 1. Xiaolin Showdown at first is a wholesome cartoon, but it really transforms when it gets to Season 2, starting with the very end of Season 1. You're not really expecting them to build toward anything. Basically, there's like a villain of the week trope that the first season thrives off of, but it has a major turning point at episode 10 when we get to one of our characters, Raimundo, making a choice to turn to the dark side. Oof, that's when the show really gets its true identity and is really thrust into a dark, psychotic world by the second season. The Shengong Wu play a major part in the story as they are building this giant monster named Mala Mala Zhong that is known to be a strong creature. The show tricks us into believing that that is the overall arc throughout the first season, when really, after they defeat Mala Mala Zhong, you assume everything's good, but it's not. Because of the actions in Mala Mala Zhong, Raimundo is the only Shaolin monk among his peers that doesn't get to rise in the rank, mainly because he doesn't know how to follow directions and tries to help Master Feng when he's specifically told not to, having this crazy breakdown. Which for the 2000s, a 4-part story arc is not really heard of, but it definitely begins here, and we weren't even prepped for it. The final episode, titled In the Flesh, is really where this whole Raimundo arc is kickstarted and lasts so long that it goes 2 episodes into the second season, which is mainly why we have to discuss it. There's a lot of emotional stakes in the show, just in the sense that, like, just through the episodic episodes, you've grown to like the characters and really care about them. So, like, their place with each other and in the Shaolin Temple feels very fragile, feels very important. It almost feels like Raimundo leaving is like your best friend leaving middle school to go to another school. Like, it's scary, which is why it's really impressive that they gave the whole story arc the attention it deserved by lasting 3 more episodes. So, In the Flesh has Raimundo pulling the trigger on Wuya, the ghost enemy that serves Jack Spicer, or they kind of serve each other, both looking for the Shengong Wu. Jack is the physical body that Wuya's dark plans are used to seek out. Through Shengong Wu, they discover a power that's a lot bigger than Mala Mala Zhong, which is Wuya. Yeah, you think it's just this, like, little comic character, this comic villain that just isn't gonna be able to be a real threat, but really, they're building toward her being the biggest distraction of them all. So Raimundo works under Wuya's wing, turning his back on his fellow monks, all because of this ranking system in Xiaolin Showdown. And it's really dramatic and sad when he betrays them in their own temple, stealing a Shengong Wu. When he realizes that he's just a pawn in Wuya's plan, you know, for some reason, the action only starts to begin. So let's jump into Season 2 now. Starting with the first episode, Season 2, Episode 1, Days Past. We go right where we left off, with Wuya finally turning to her physical form. There's a little moment where the entire brick palace is being built, and you could see a little glimpse of Omi in an icicle fall down from the sky, something that is super easy to miss, but is one of the most impressive plants for a plotline I've ever seen. So take note of this, because it's gonna pop up a little later. Raimundo is officially on Wuya's side, having to fight for her against his own partners, which is so depressing.
My evil ways are gonna kick your butt, rule the world, and drop me straight into the lap of luxury.
These rock creatures alongside Wuya prove to be a stronger villain than they've ever had to deal with before, but honestly the action is so cool, guys. I just love watching them fight Wuya with their Shengong Wu. It's so cool! All around, like, you are definitely threatened by everything going on. You're warned about the 1,000 years of darkness that this entire show is set after, which is why they collect the Shengong Wu, to avoid this dark future, but here it just is prompted. Like, right after the first season, they're thrust into the world of darkness, which is so sad and dramatic and exactly what I want in a kid's cartoon. Later, they're unexpectedly saved by Jack Spicer of all people. Oh my gosh, even the monks are confused and everybody's like, what's happening?
Because Jack has finally rejected the ways of evil.
I'm still evil right down to my greedy black heart.
Okay?
And they all just agree that they need to take down Wuya. For good or for evil, all they know is the world is going under, which is crazy that they have this in common. I'm super excited to see how this transpires. They try to go back to the Xiaolin Temple, but find Master Feng and all the other monks are held captive in these rock cages, so things are a lot worse than they appear. Wuya is finally grooming Raimundo to do everything she asks of him, and it almost shows a dark side because she gives him everything he wants, like even statues that look like him, but he learns that it's not 100% what he envisioned, with also her company not being interesting. It's clear that she's using him as a tool, especially to him, as she doesn't even want to talk to him. It's kinda sad.
The only person who ever defeated Wuya was Grandmaster Dashi.
Good luck trying to ask him.
At least not without a time machine.
Did somebody say time machine? Behold!
The best way to turn against this evil hierarchy is to defeat Wuya the same way they originally did, with a wooden puzzle box, something that they introduced in the very first episode that made Wuya Jack's partner to begin with. A really cool callback.
In a simple wooden puzzle box, the threat averted, Dashi spread his Shengong Wu around the earth.
I love how everything was, like, meticulously planned out. So luckily, Jack Spicer has been working on a time machine. Yeah, because there's no time-traveling Shengong Wu quite yet. Notice how I said yet. So he creates this, and it can only work under the power of the Eye of Dashi, which luckily the monks have.
Time machine need much power to work. Way more power than Jack can generate. Did you get that?
Cowboy, understand.
So they do have to work together with their trust in order to make this time traveling happen. So Omi, of course, is the sacrifice to go back in time with his Orb of Tournami to convince Grandmaster Dashi, the guy who originally captured Wuya and thus created the magic puzzle box, and see if they can make a new one, so he could come back to the future and stop these 1,000 years of darkness. Once he gets there, he's met with a man that's really ignorant and uninterested in everything Omi has to say, but quickly Omi realizes this is his idol, the man who actually did capture Wuya, Grandmaster Dashi. And there's even a mini dojo, so we get to see Dojo in the past. Aw, so cute. So yeah, these guys are very disrespectful to Omi, not even believing him, because obviously he didn't have a Shengong Wu to time travel, so how could he have? Which, good point. I'm glad the writers set that up.
I'll build you another puzzle box.
Oh, thank you, Grandmaster.
Hold on. First, you're going to have to prove you're worthy.
And how shall I prove myself?
He insists Omi face him in a Xiaolin Showdown in order to get this puzzle box, which Omi does, and it's a really, really fun sequence of honestly artsy images of them running through upside-down staircases. Like, a Shaolin monk really has to be agile in order to climb some of these things.
We don't know what they need, so we blame the air we breathe. Where's there is the issue. I've no cracks like Kumari. I need no tissues. Issue units coming soon. The wall of the unexpressed words set she free. Kumari is a fool worth the wall of sorrow.
By the end, Omi loses, and Grandmaster Dashi essentially lets him win, which is kind of really nice. He gives him a puzzle box, and Omi is off on his way. Oh wait, but the episode ends with Omi realizing he can't get back. Oof.
What do you mean you don't know how to get him back?
Oops.
So yeah, Days Past ends with a cliffhanger once again. Not like the last episode of season 1 didn't, and then episode 12 before that, and then even episode 11. So you know that this is a continuous storyline, and I'm just wondering who approved of it, because I would be really nervous growing up that, like, you're gonna lose the audience's attention. But they do a good job. Leads us into the final episode that completes this Wuya story arc, Citadel of Doom, episode 2. It starts off with Omi stuck in the past and Kimiko beating up Jack essentially for not thinking the whole thing through, which you guys could have thought of too, I'm just saying. So the rock creatures destroy the time machine and Jack's lair, making it impossible for Omi to get back, and things just get worse and worse, which means the stakes get higher and higher, something I really have fun watching. Kimiko and Clay are essentially left to figure out what to do alongside Jack, but it's hard because they're taken as prisoners right away to Wuya's clutches, which is so scary. You are convinced they're going to die. Jack literally tries to convince her to let him on her side, which is a betrayal in itself, but it's not Raimundo length betrayal, because he's just a bad person. Like, that's just proven.
I was really on your side all the way. Stupid Omi walked right into our trap. Woohoo! You can let me go now.
Forget it, Jack. I'm not buying.
Really? Even if I whimper?
They try to make Raimundo feel guilty about this decision because we know he has a heart. Like, there's something about it that doesn't feel like he's going to stay evil, so they try to negotiate. It doesn't work, and yeah, Wuya essentially throws all of his friends into the dungeons ready to die, which I don't know why Raimundo doesn't help at that point, but okay. They really can't get out of here until Omi appears from underneath, which I don't know how it gets any lower than this, but it does. And we find out that he actually was able to get back from the past by waiting. What? Yeah, so they have like this little campfire where Omi explains that the only reason he got back to the present is because he froze himself in an icicle only to wait for the future to arrive. And unlike Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's kind of hard to make that make sense because Avatar was protected by his spirit, and I guess Omi is just going to remain over 100 years old for the rest of his life.
Oh, I am still very cold. Does anybody have a blanket?
1,500 years old, take it. And I don't know how it preserved him, but I choose to disbelieve it because I love this show and I just want it to go that way. And that's where we learn about that sequence we were talking about last episode, where Omi rises from the castle as an Omisicle. And everybody is just so grateful, and now Omi is here with a puzzle box, just no idea how to use it. Jack says he knows how to use it, which I don't know how you believe. Jack is the weirdest evil villain ever, but definitely one of my favorites.
Ow! Little help here, please.
So Omi and Jack try to sneak in and capture Wuya while the other monks serve as a distraction. Raimundo tries to attack them when he realizes that he's just a distraction and heads back to stop everybody. There's just an all-out battle against Wuya in like this really awesome rock palace, definitely the darkest you've ever seen in this show. And you are convinced that everybody's going to be crushed to death until Raimundo does the right thing and is the one who opens the puzzle box, which they weren't able to get open. So it is kind of crazy that without his help, that Dashi would have never stopped Wuya once again. So we do kind of get like a redemption arc, and Raimundo Raimundo does the right thing in the end, making up for everything he's done. And the monks forgive him pretty quickly, which I appreciate. I feel like it's all about the camaraderie, and Master Feng coming in with a sash, allowing him to be promoted, but he doesn't take it. Something really nice in a lesson of redemption, of like earning back his place with the monks that I don't think I would have seen in a normal cartoon.
It's not that I don't want it, Master Feng, but I'm not ready. Not yet.
Normally they would just like go back to square one and all would be forgiven, but I like that Raimundo is insistent on earning it. It really makes him an honorable character, and especially in the warrior sense. Like, you want somebody who's super honorable. And yeah, you don't get any Shengang Wu in these first 2 episodes of the second season, which is super surprising because this is the season with the most Shengang Wu all around. So there's a lot going on. All around, we're back to the single episode setup.
So I guess it's back to the same old, huh?
Yep. Training
Finding Shengang Wu.
and stopping evil wherever it may rise.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
And things seem like they're going to go really okay until you realize that this is only the beginning of even more chaos. But yeah, I digress. Let's jump into some of the episodic experiences that lead to even more complicated stakes, where we focus on mainly characters.
Can someone get me a lozenge?
I have a love-hate relationship with the next episode, Shard of Lightning, Season 2, Episode 3. This was the episode where I realized that timing did matter with the episodes, and back then, when we didn't always have, like, the right episode guides, like, because of airing order and production order, it would be really confusing, but it was important to see that Raimundo came back after betraying them. I can't believe we, like... Never mind, I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, we go pretty much to a reset, and everything's back to normal. The monks are using their Shengang Wu to cheat during chore, which only shows how human they are, and they're just kids. Which we want. We want to see the kids and their flaws. Raimundo is back to being a little bit lazier, and I can't believe we just, like, undid that. If I were him, I would try to turn my personality around a little bit more. But they're interrupted when the Shard of Lightning reveals itself. A Shengang Wu that actually allows you to travel so fast that time freezes. A really cool concept. Jack Spicer's trying to live without Wuya, which has proven to be really hard. He doesn't want to bring her back, and that's understandable. They just went through a lot. In fact, they kind of undo a lot of the intensity of what just happened by Katnape discovering the puzzle box. You're telling me they didn't figure out what to do with the puzzle box? That would have been a nice episode to have in between this. She ends up setting Wuya free, and the antics only go back to normal, which is kind of interesting because it's like choosing to stick with the same villains as opposed to move on to new villains is a nice choice. One I wasn't super happy with at the time, but because of everything that's going to happen, I'm really excited about.
Your hour's up. I am out of here.
You can't leave. We had a deal.
Hey, Ghostface, I quit. Nothing is worth having to listen to the whiny twins in stereo.
They fight with Katnape over the Shard of Lightning and end up victorious. And we just see that Wuya is pretty much defenseless here. So, I don't know why Katnape has like a whole salon. Basically, like, Wuya's trying to get her to do her dirty work the same way she did with Jack Spicer, but it just doesn't turn out well. We get more monks training, which is so cool. I love seeing them train with Shengang Wu. It just makes you feel super powerful, even, like, imagining it. But the Shengang Wu start to disappear, which ends up being a huge mystery and a big concern, as these are the most powerful objects ever. So then 2 Jacks come out of nowhere, and you don't know what's going on. All you know is the animation's messed up here sometimes. Isn't that crazy? We get to see how the Shard of Lightning works, and it's really cool. It's like the sepia effect that you would get on old cameras. And it turns out Jack and Jack are able to steal Shengang Wu super easily, making the monks really concerned, especially if he's a threat. Master Feng admits all the danger that they could actually expect from a situation like this, only concerning us even more. But you know what? They're just good at raising stakes in general.
As long as they are both touching the shard when it is activated, they can both use its power.
We got your Shengang Wu!
This is the worst thing ever.
With most of the Shengang Wu gone, yeah, they're really worried about Jack, and the monks have to work together. They have a new way of using their elemental powers, which are really cool, especially since by the end of the last season, they were given the ability to just use these elements on their own. It's really fun. And the villains start turning on each other, which is one of the concepts that make this show so impressive. Like Wuya not knowing who to talk to. Jack turns out his equivalent is a robot, which I forgot to mention earlier. We kind of learn it through the next Shengang Wu that gets revealed, the Silver Manta Ray. It turns into this giant transportation device. Honestly, it feels like a little bit of a filler Shengang Wu, but like, what is a filler anyway? So Omi ends up going against both Jacks in an attempt to get the Shard of Lightning back. And yeah, there's a lot at stake. Like, they're definitely worried about Jack, but Omi can get them to turn on each other pretty easily, reminding us that Jack is not really a threat to them. So it's kind of hard how they're gonna, like, reset and convince us that the monks have a huge challenge. But yeah, they just end up winning the showdown, and it's all positive vibes from then on. It's a nice, like, return to form episode. Having 2 Shengang Wu revealed is really exciting.
My mind is clear. I am not distracted by this most irritating of noises!
The next episode is the Crystal Glasses, which actually does a really important thing, like setting up Omi's moral code. As I've talked about before, Omi is going to be the one we're focused on this season, as there's a lot of dark things that happen, but I'm not going to spoil anything quite yet. This episode really defines his character and like how much he's willing to do, and honestly, like, it does matter later on.
I already know my future. I will be the most wise and powerful and swiftest of all Xiaolin dragons.
You left out modest.
Dojo has this really disgusting itch, and I don't know who the animators thought they were, making this such grotesque imagery on Dojo, and it has to do with him revealing Shengang Wu, so I guess it makes sense. A new Shengang Wu called the Crystal Glasses revealed itself, and all the monks are headed out to get it. They go to Russia, essentially, where they meet this guy named Vlad, the new villain of the week for the episode. They give him a cream that calms Dojo's itches, and thank God, because that was starting to get gross. They learn the Shengang Wu is hidden on a statue in one of the biggest museums ever, which is kind of cool. I like that every Shengang Wu has a location associated with it, which kind of reflects its abilities. Gotta remind you that Kimiko's look is reset every episode with a unique style and outfit every time. I don't know how she has the time to do it, but I'm not going to question it. Jack is still on the run, trying to get as many Shengang Wu as possible, despite the fact losing multiple times. And this time he is a giant robot, which, okay, good for you, Jack. You do need something to fight every time. His reversing mirror really does work out for him as he gets Omi to punch himself.
I have been Tebby-gonged.
Huh? Hey! Whoa, no! No!
Right when you think he's gonna get away with the crystal glasses, Vlad does a good deed and actually stops him for them. Woof! Well, so it's kind of cool that we have a new positive character. Omi convinces him to be a Shaolin monk along with the rest. I love that they're actually showing different seasons throughout the show, like there's snow everywhere, so it kind of feels like the show's real. And Omi trusting Vlad is kind of a reflection of all of the good he sees in people and his naiveness when it comes to detecting dangerous things like this. We learn pretty quickly that Vlad is working for Jack, and this was all just a stunt to give them the crystal glasses, which is super crazy. I can't believe Jack thought of all this.
And Vlad, next time you fake a fight, try not to be so convincing.
Whatever you say, Mr. Jack Spicer, you are boss.
Master Feng demonstrates how the crystal glasses work. It's really cool. Basically, you could see, like, as much as, like, a couple seconds to, like, a whole future in moments.
I know your moves. Before you do.
Ow! Oh, forget it.
I knew you would say that.
It causes Raimundo to take it out of the vault and walk around prancing with it and showing off Omi, which is so funny because it's like, you just proved that you weren't going to be a dark character anymore and you're still doing this. Vlad starts manipulating Omi into using it for himself, only to see that he becomes an evil dictator. Oh my gosh. This was one of the more interesting plots I liked when this show first came out. Like, I was just so enticed by the idea of preventing a really dangerous destiny from happening, and having all the Shengang Wu at their disclosure, like, that's danger happens. So yeah, Omi basically turns on himself in a way and gives up being a Shaolin warrior as one of the most important ones. Like, this proves to be a really big issue. He pretty much runs away, which is a common trope that he'll do every now and then. Like, he has left the temple to protect the good of humanity multiple times, which feels admirable, but also kind of like promotes this like martyrism thing where it's just like you just have to wander the desert forever. Like, I feel like this wasn't thought of.
Why would Vlad have Jack Spicer's reversing mirror? Unless... I gotta warn the others. They gotta...
Vlad starts taking down the Shaolin monks one by one, but they start realizing what's really up when Dojo warns the monks that Vlad is up to no good. They don't know how, but they know Omi is not evil. They head out to get a treasure trove full of Shengang Wu, which is the biggest plot issue I think I've ever seen in the show, and that I'm gonna mention right here as an ultimate fan. It adds a lot of stakes, it's a reason to need to be there, but all the Shengang Wu that you see them take end up revealing themselves in the future later, sometimes as different images even. So this is like, must be a thing where like production happened way too early on these episodes that they didn't even get to decide what was gonna happen. The most important one here though is the Wu helmet, which allows the user to protect their face. Okay, so it's just a helmet, essentially. Omi and Vlad duel when Omi finds out that Vlad tricked him using the reversing mirror.
Has no idea future he sees is reverse mirror trick.
What?
Which was Jack's, and it actually makes sense why certain people have certain Shengang Wu in certain episodes of the show. A very good attention to detail. But you know what? They have their highs and lows. They battle in this giant chasm of water, which is really interesting, especially since it's Omi's element, and he kind of comes out of his dark place only to be the warrior he always knew he was. A great identity story, and you know what? I'm just happy we come out on top. A series of very positive outcomes for these Shaolin warriors, only to get ready for an even darker future. Woohoo!
Not to worry, Raimundo. One day, you too will also be competent.
The next episode, Panda-Town, focuses on yet another new villain that will come up again later, so I kind of give them props for not making these episodes kind of pointless episodic episodes. They're more like growing characters and situations. Omi is really frustrating Raimundo, especially in their training, as they're all learning their elemental Shengang Wu, and it's just really cool the way they choose to edit these episodes. Like, I don't know why, like, just Master Funk staring at Omi is just so unnecessary.
I forgot one thing!
Omi tries to give Raimundo advice, only making him more and more frustrated, causing him to accidentally hurt Omi. Oh my gosh, yeah, Omi's almost in danger. This episode is more so about Raimundo than anybody, so it's nice that they set up his character flaw within this, which is that he could be sometimes irresponsible or not think things through. Omi points out that this is because he's not a warrior yet.
But I suppose that is something we learn at the apprentice level. You did your best.
Connects back to the 4-part episode, which means the events happening are just as important as they were then that they are now. And Wuya is back to working with Jack again, which I feel like just happens overnight. I don't really need to get into it, but yeah, I guess she was just impressed by the way he worked with Vlad. He has a yes bot this time, which is one of the funnier bots he has. There's even a trading card for it in the Xiaolin Showdown trading game.
Yes, it is, Jack. Right as always. How about a snack and a beverage, huh?
The perfect companion when taking over the world has you on the road.
So Jack starts working with this underground man, like this mafia-like guy, named Panda-Bubba, who ends up taking all of his Shengang Wu in exchange for new robot parts, which is the stupidest thing Jack could have done. I don't know why Wuya decided to work with him again. This has a connection to something Kimiko heard earlier, which is that in Hong Kong, people using Shengang Wu to steal things. So they have to go investigate and see what's up, as opposed to getting any specific Shengang Wu, which is kind of a cool concept. As Jack and the monks both try to have their own plans against Panda-Bubba, like, they find themselves having a common enemy. At first, Jack, like, promises Panda-Bubba he'll work for him, which you find, like, really confusing because he's working with the monks a second later.
You can't possibly be suggesting a team-up.
Help me in, and we'll split my ex-Shengang Wu 50-50.
And there's, like, an easy explanation for it. Yeah, I don't know, Jack. I don't know if I believe you.
We'll take them under advisement with the apprentices. Clay? Kimiko?
I reckon we got no better choice.
Let's give it a shot.
The monks turn on Raimundo, who actually thinks there's a reason to be suspicious, and they just kind of dismiss him easily, which he's the only one sniffing out the future actual problem, showing that he is actually a pretty good warrior. Although he still does have, like, irresponsible tendencies, like wanting to act quick without thinking about it. So as they try to break in using the help of Jack Spicer, they learn that they can't trust him. He works for Panda Bubba and tries to get all his Shengon Wu back when Panda Bubba double crosses him because he's a better villain, and he ends up with all the Shengon Wu. Luckily, Raimundo got away because he didn't believe Jack. And he has this whole moment with Master Feng where he, like, has a plan, and it's actually really cool.
And you are the only...
I know, I'm the only non-apprentice. But you brought me here because you knew I could become the Dragon of Wind. If I'm ever gonna learn to be who I can be, people are gonna have to trust me.
We don't get to see the plan in action. It actually happens in front of us, which I really like. He essentially lets Panda Bubba's goons come in and steal the Shengon Wu, but really it's all a part of a plan to purposely get captured and save his friends, which is pretty cool. They're like in this giant storage unit, which is crazy that Panda Bubba works his operations in places like this. It kind of gives me drug dealer vibes. Or
all you want is Hong Kong? Can I at least get double-crossed by somebody with some vision?
They use the Shengon Wu to break out and turn against Panda Bubba, only ending in a giant showdown between Raimundo and Panda Bubba. Ooh!
Jack, I challenge you to
a showdown trio. This was on your cheat sheet, too.
They have their first three-way Xiaolin Showdown, which is definitely a cool concept. I like that they're introducing all these new mechanics and twists that you don't expect, especially since it's just a simple episode, not leading to anything necessarily yet. Raimundo uses this opportunity to save the day, which the monks don't even believe he can do.
You can still win! Just think, what would Omi do?
But by the end, Raimundo is crowned an apprentice, just like the rest of the group. So yeah, he's finally back on the same level as everybody, and they can officially work together in Dragon X Kume, which is a really memorable unity move that combines all the elements in this, like, cataclysmic display of power. They end up using this a lot for the rest of the series, and I like it because it definitely shows, like, what it's like to work together and the power of teamwork. I don't know, it's nice.
Now, as long as we're talking promotion, let's talk perks. First, the robes. Got to go.
Sizing Up Omi is our next endeavor with an even more interesting plot, but it's still episodic, so I'm not going to give it too much credit. Jack and Wuya start working with another villain. Oh my god, so many villains for no reason in this season. And his name is Cyclops.
Why waste your time on these lame old-school monsters?
I happen to prefer the old ways. There is much to be said for tradition.
It's just this giant monster with one eye, and it says more about the place they're living in than necessarily the concept of the show, where it's just, I guess, mythical things are just commonplace here. They're off to get a new Shengon Wu right away, and I love that we're not hesitating on the action here. We get to see the wings of Tanabe, which are a really cool concept for a Shengon Wu. It allows you to fly. One of the second ones that allow you to fly. Yeah. The Longy Kite, which is insane, and this is the wings of Tanabe. I don't know. But yeah, they end up not winning against the Cyclops because they're not big enough. He has the physical edge over all these monks, which, okay. So yeah, they're stressed out because they think this is the end of them getting all the Shengon Wu, which it could only be the end of the world so many times. At least this is just a little bit lower scale of a problem. Omi thinks he's the one that needs to change out of all this, which does make sense for his character. So he keeps eating and trying to grow bigger, and oh my god, it does not work out.
But strength is not determined by one's size, rather by the size of one's strength.
Whoa!
Until he has the genius idea of combining the changing chopsticks, which make you small, and the reversing mirror, which reverses things, making him huge. And that's kind of the central problem of the episode. He loses the opportunity to get Shengon Wu, and actually has Clay lose a Xiaolin Showdown because of it, which, kind of crazy that he's the one that has to lose. Come on, Clay is such an underrated character. He loses the Glove of Jisaku, which is the new Shengon Wu that actually enables a giant magnet and can attract things from far away, which is kind of cool, I guess. It really does show up in battle a lot of times, just like on the surface doesn't seem that exciting. But yeah, the rest of the episode is kind of dealing with Omi. He at first is too big, so he tries to get smaller, and yeah, not a lot happens in this, except for Omi fighting a bunch of small creatures. Didn't expect that.
I warn you, Large Mantis. You will be shown no mercy. Leopard strike!
Jack's getting more fed up with taking care of Cyclops, which is kind of a funny side plot. And they try to get the reversing mirror back because since Clay lost it in the showdown, it means Omi's stuck being small. Like, he will never go back to normal. So they try to make a trade with Jack.
We all want to help your little friend, Omi.
So, you'll help us?
I guess we'll take that as a no.
Something that, you don't expect people to do. Making bargains with the evil. Like, it's kind of cool, though. I like how they're, like, negotiating. And Jack's smart.
The reversing mirror for all your Shengong Wu.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Omi gets pretty disappointed, though, when the monks had said no, because he's like, oh, you didn't think I was worth it? It's kind of a sad disconnect that doesn't really go anywhere.
No matter what you say, you cannot trade the Shengong Wu for my mistake!
Well, that's kind of what we did say.
You did? Yes, I would have done exactly the same.
But it is cool that, like, the monks have emotions and interpersonal relationships that really do reflect this. Omi ends up having a showdown with Cyclops on their way to the Thorn of Thunderbolt, one of my favorite Shengong Wu, and I'm gonna say that for all of them. And he bets the Wings of Tanabe against Cyclops' reversing mirror. Kind of an obvious choice, so that way there's a lot of stuff at stake.
To Xiaolin annihilation.
Yeah, it's like a tiny little termite going up against a grizzly bear.
You know I am standing right here.
And it ends up being like a full-on race, with the monks not believing Omi can do it. It usually goes this way, where the monks kind of doubt each other and then end up in the end, like, vouching for each other. It's so random how it goes sometimes. And at the very last moment, Omi wins and is put back to normal, and this is just like another simple episode.
You showed it, Omi!
Partner?
Another episode that's just as simple, but even more memorable, is Enter the Dragon. And this is one of the first episodes that really got me into Xiaolin Showdown. It was like one of the more replayed ones, like on Kids WB and Cartoon Network. Basically, Dojo has his own episode. It's like once every couple hundred years, Dojo gets an evil form and a craving for Shengong Wu and people, and it's really dangerous. So he builds himself a magic-proof box where he goes into it and then just stays there until it's over. Everybody's supposed to get a new Shengong Wu, with Omi thinking that Raimundo should be left behind to watch him, make sure he doesn't get out of this cage so nothing diabolical happens.
Why should I remain behind and Raimundo go? It took him the longest to become an apprentice, and no one thought he would make it! Except for me?
Omi trashes Raimundo, and it's clear he doesn't trust him, which is a bigger deal than you would think. As all the monks go to get the new Shengong Wu, Omi's left behind, and he thinks this task is so mundane and stupid and too easy for him. Of course, Master Feng is there to set the stakes, as he always is, saying that if Dojo's let out, 1,000 years of darkness is gonna happen. Something that took the entire first season to lead to, and now in this episode just happens. Okay, still kind of a big deal, which just shows how his ego gets in his way.
Remember, you can't believe a word I say.
Okay, then I cannot believe what you have just said.
Yeah, and you should know, I'll try every trick in the book to get out. Now, do me a favor, will you? Open the door so I can get those egg rolls. No! You're not supposed to let me out! That was a test!
Dojo says not to allow him to open the cage at any cost, which leads to a really funny comedy beat where he portrays him. I like that a lot.
Please let me out. I'm lost. No! Omi, this is your mother speaking. I am an orphan. Omi, it's Omi. You've got to let me out.
So Dojo's let out, and things are a lot worse than Omi expected. His underestimation is dangerous. Meanwhile, Jack faces the monks on their own. He uses the Glove of Jisaku to steal all the Shengong Wu and comes out on top. The rest of the episode becomes essentially horror, in the same way the Night of the Sapphire Dragon episode happened in Season 1. If you can remember, it was also a Dojo episode where one of the Shengong Wu became a giant monster and destroyed the monks one by one. And it kind of happens the same way in this, but this time it's Dojo, so it's kind of emotionally taxing to watch.
Oh boy, did we do it.
So that's what it looks like.
There are some things I don't need to see.
So Dojo ends up being the biggest evil villain for the episode, a twist that I was not expecting, but very welcome. He eats Jack Spicer, and then all the monks one by one as they try to fight him. By the end, only Omi is left. Even Master Fung gets eaten in a really sad way. Finally, Omi does get eaten, and you think all hope is lost, but really we just see from the perspective of their stomach, which, by the way, you get to play in the Xiaolin Showdown DS game and PSP game, which is so interesting. I can't believe this is like a mainstay for just being one episode. So Omi gets out by sweating himself out, which is kind of gross, and challenges Dojo to a showdown where the winner ends up taking the reversing mirror, the changing chopsticks, and the tunnel armadillo, the new Shengang Wu from the episode.
Hey, what's going on?
Shroud of Shadows! Changing chopsticks!
They end up stopping Dojo, and the entire temple is ruined, so they kinda won, but they also kinda lost. Omi learned his lesson in the same way he's done before, but this time was kind of interesting. All around, good episode. Not much to say about it, just that it was very memorable and definitely struck the identity of Xiaolin Showdown back in the day.
Go! Evil, go!
The Sands of Time kicks it up a notch by episode 8 with a Shengang Wu that allows you to time travel. Finally, this makes the first 4-part episode a little less impactful. So it starts with Jack attacking the temple with cheerleader bots. Didn't expect that. The monks just basically keep destroying them one by one. We get to see what this Dragon X Kume formation really does, and yeah, it is destructive and impressive. It's more of an Omi episode, and when they finally get to defeat all the Jackbots, the monks are warned about a future where everything goes wrong. Oof.
It will soon be dominated by evil.
Yeah! Go evil! Woo!
Jack Spicer and Wuya are there the whole time, which is really dangerous because they're the villains, and hearing about all this is not good. So old Omi essentially warns the monks that they need to get the Sands of Time before it reveals itself, or else evil is going to take over. Whew, another way to keep these stakes high. So the monks do something they've never done before, try to find a Shengang Wu before it reveals itself. Whew, I love it when an episode is named after a Shengang Wu. I don't know why, it just makes it all the more important and exciting to watch. So they head everywhere across the world where Dojo thinks he could have hit it, which definitely adds to the lore of Dojo being the one to hide every Shengang Wu. I like being reminded that. And they end up going to Egypt, where they sabotage this man's film shoot about a mummy, which is so funny.
Stop! Who are you people? You've ruined my show.
They head back when they realize the Shengang Wu's not there, only to find out that it was actually hidden at the Shaolin Temple. Oh my god, Dojo hid it at the temple and forgot.
The Shaolin Temple? Dagnard! We're right smack dab where we started.
So Jack Spicer gets to it first and has a heyday with it. He's the villain once again because he has a Shengang Wu powerful enough to take on the monks, and I love it. He goes back in time to get all the historical villains of different eras, including his kindergarten teacher, which is hilarious.
Meet Attila the Hun, Blackbeard the pirate, Billy the Kid, Mrs. Cornhaven, my first grade teacher.
And he proves to be a big threat to the monks, taking Shengang Wu before they reveal themselves, which honestly, in retrospect, why didn't they use this later in the series to do the same thing?
Why do you look so different?
I took a year off for some downtime and came up with the greatest super genius evil plan ever.
Oh well, they use a Dragon X Kume to take down these villains, and it seems all good, but turns out Jack is always going to end up on top because of this Sands of Time. He ends up getting his old self from the future to help take them down, which is the stupidest thing ever. Just shows how egotistical he is, and it's gonna end up being his inevitable downfall. They end up getting the Sweet Baby Among Us, which I find to be a really funny Shengang Wu. And yeah, Jack just, it is the ultimate idea to steal Shengang Wu before they're revealed. Like, that is such a good concept. When the Ruby of Ramses reveal itself, which, yeah, it's like the third Shengang Wu in this episode, they go back to Egypt because that's where they saw it to begin with. Dojo, you couldn't have just said that at first.
Have you returned to ruin my show again?
We are here to retrieve the Ruby of Ramses. And to purchase 4 tickets, please.
So the team split up, some of them getting the Ruby of Ramses, the others stealing the Shengang Wu Jack took, and it ends up in a giant showdown with Omi bringing old Omi, and then Jack having old Jack face off against one another.
Our third arm sash against your monkey staff.
Our man is flip coin against your thorn of thunderbolt. Or thunderbolt, actually.
In this really cool showdown that feels like a video game. It's almost them like climbing a bunch of levels of a maze that they can't actually get out of. And Jack just leaves his old man self behind multiple times. It's kind of depressing when you think about it. I wish this was like installed in the video game because it's such a funny concept. The old Omi and old Jack barely interact, which just is so funny to me. I don't know why, that's just like a funny concept. And old Omi takes the Sands of Time with him so that nobody makes the mistake again, which kind of reminds me of season 1 when the golden tiger claws were so important that they had to throw it in the center of the earth. Yeah, you just know the Sands of Time is going to come back for some reason or another. But in the meantime, we end up with another casual episode that doesn't 100% lead to too much.
I trust you are ready to demonstrate great focus.
Hear Some Evil, See Some Evil, episode 9, which is another Jack episode where he takes advantage of a Shengang Wu and is finally able to take down the monks once again. And this one is interesting because it's not like Jack's the main villain, it's more like the monks are villains to each other, of all things. So yeah, we see how kind of on different pages they are, even ending up falling in the water because they can't control their Shengang Wu. Yeah, they're losing their unity. And it's really sad.
Fidgeting with your 3 p.m. player. Kimiko, doing your hair. Clay, playing with your little cow. And Omi, you with your bumblebee.
Jack has his niece visiting throughout this whole episode, and she's so annoying to Wuya and him. It's just such an unnecessary B-plot that you do not expect. And they have another Shengang Wu that leads them back to the beach, the Mind Reader Conch. And this one's cool because you could read each other's thoughts, which is something really interesting.
In Clay's case, I guess you just hear the ocean.
As if the monks didn't have a problem with unity before, they really start turning on each other one by one with this Shengang Wu. Even Dojo hears their thoughts and does not like what he hears.
It'll be easy to take it from her. No upper body strength.
We have unwanted company.
I wonder what this is like a bigger message on, just like whether or not it's appropriate to listen to what people think about you or like your teammates. I don't even know what to do with it sometimes. Each of the monks sneak out at the middle of the night to figure out what the other one's saying about one another, and it just adds more conflict between them, and they are just not able to fight on each other's side, which is definitely the biggest source of evil in this show. Master Feng tries to bring them closer together, but it doesn't really work, and the monks are really fed up with one another. So they decide to sneak back to Jack's and take the Shengang Wu, a pretty direct attempt to steal from him, which doesn't happen super often. This entire palace of where Jack lives is the most interesting thing to me because we never see it again. We know that he lives with his parents, but then he also kind of lives in a palace, and I really don't know what to make of it. But yeah, once the Xiaolin monks finally get there, they run into Jack's cousin, and she doesn't even respect him, nor does she make a part in the plot. So it's just kind of funny it happened. She ends up helping the monks in the long run.
I'll tell you where it is if I can play with your dragon. He's yours!
By the end, Omi and Jack have a standoff for the Mind Reader Conch in which Jack uses it to his advantage. We get a really cool sequence of them like getting their heads put on each other's bodies. I just like the editing in the show. It really makes it dramatic.
Mind Reader Conch!
I wonder if he's listening.
We just need to get closer.
Darn near there.
And yeah, Omi uses the Silk Spitter throughout the showdown, and Jack uses the Mind Reader Conch. But since the monks have already understood what it's like to use each other's issues against one another, they use it to trick him into everything that they were worried about.
Jack is slower than a 3-legged cow in quicksand.
Huh? What? I'm faster than any three-legged cow!
Finally calling Uncle by the end, which is a crazy idea for a showdown. Dojo ends up distracting the little cousin by wearing a dress, didn't see that coming. And yeah, by the end of the episode, it's just Megan and Jack. By the end of the episode, they accidentally set the entire garden on fire, and Omi takes the blame for it, and that's just it. I don't know if it's supposed to be a comedy beat, a secret plug of like what's to come, because things get really complicated from here on out, but I don't know, all around fun episode. I guess I'm a little confused at why they turned the kids against each other by the end, but okay, cool.
What Master Feng does not know will not hurt him.
And what does Master Feng not know?
The camera stays on me! Jack Spicer!
Jack, will you just get on with it?
Episode 10 of Season 2 is called Dreamscape, and we actually get to learn a little bit more about the psychology of the Xiaolin monks, which is something I was not expecting. So it starts out with them getting the new Shengong Wu, the Shadow of Fear, a statue that looks like a bird, and I never understood the look, but you know what? I always thought it was cool. Jack's filming a movie throughout this, and I would definitely say this is his funniest episode of all time. I love watching Jack just attempt to make a movie and have that be more important than his journey to get Shengong Wu.
Makeup! Beautiful. Action!
But yeah, Clay has too much stage fright to actually be able to fight, leaving all the monks on their own and Jack to get away with the Shadow of Fear. This is another episode where Jack has the upper hand only because of his Shengong Wu and not because of anything else. And just seeing Wuya badger him the whole time for how stupid this is just priceless. The Shaolin monks, though, do lose the Shengong Wu pretty quickly as Clay has a really tough time standing up to his own fears. At first you think it's going to be a Clay episode, but it doesn't end up that way.
I have no worries, because I have no fears. See? No fear!
I love the way the Ruby of Ramses is used in this episode. Like, Omi gets like a giant log off of Dojo, and just the action sequences are so fun. Oh, love seeing them in their training sequences. All of them seem to have, like, disruptions and aren't able to be as strong as they usually are because, you know, they're so upset that they lost. So I like that emotions really do come into play a lot.
Yet the bravest monk is not the one who fears nothing, but the one who is willing to face what he fears most.
Jack uses the Shadow of Fear to attack each one of the monks on their own and learn their deepest fears. We follow Omi's perspective and yet don't get to see what he's scared of. It's kind of funny though.
This is your worst nightmare? You're more pathetic than me!
Jack shoots all of this for his movie, and I like that we still haven't forgotten that this is a part of his movie. Omi is like the most insecure because he likes to be the most confident, so he just lies about how not scared he is.
I am not afraid of anything Jack Spicer may find inside my head.
Omi, since you are so unafraid, you will watch over the Shengong Wu.
Meanwhile, he volunteers to watch the vault. Oh my god, Omi. The same way he let Dojo go because of his egotism is the same way he turns against Jack here, thinking he's strong enough to fight his fear, but really too scared and runs away. So Jack ends up getting away with the Shengong Wu, giving another win to the villains, which happens so much more often than you give it credit for. I love imbalance of yin and yang in this show and just have it being the underscore theme for everything. It's so cool.
Oh, really? Cut! Let me do that line again. Oh, really?
The monks are pretty empathetic toward Omi, like knowing that he was so scared, and they have to all work together to fight Jack and their own fears. It somehow is an episode about everybody at the same time, and I just love the storytelling that comes with. Omi admits his defeat, and everybody kind of admires him for it, which I like. A couple small wins here and there when it comes to the characters, and they decide, hey, maybe we should take on each other's fears, which is a nice metaphor for working together, again, unity, this idea that you need other people to become a more complete team.
Yeah!
Good idea!
And everybody but Jack gets involved in an 8-way Xiaolin Showdown, another Xiaolin twist that you do not expect, and this one I don't feel is necessary.
Is there such a thing?
Wait. Oh, here it is. It's in the supplemental pages that came out in the last 200 years. Basically, it's 4 against 4, each wagering 1 Shengang Wu.
They end up doing a wrestling showdown, which is ridiculous. I can't even keep track of the Shengang Wu they wagered this time around, but that's okay. Sometimes they just like to have fun, and I'm just here for it. With all of them having like a moment where you think they're going to turn against their fear, it ends up coming out on top, and they visit Jack and his fears by the end, which turns out to be a giant toilet. When I was a kid, this was the funniest thing to me. So the end. Yeah, Dreamscape is a really cool episode and just shows the themes of Xiaolin Showdown in a great light. It's the next episode that you can never turn back from. Episode 11, Master Monk Guan.
Trust your meal is satisfactory.
It's about the best meal I've had in 600 years.
I'm pleased that you're enjoying yourself.
Why is it so important? Because you think you're introduced to a Monster of the Week episode, but it's actually disguised as a much deeper plot line. I've talked about these episodes before because this is the beginning of the most important story arc ever, and having this be a part of lore and the forward-going story is the most exciting thing ever.
And I see much potential in you, Omi.
Oh, yes, I know.
Starts with all the monks headed through these canyons looking for the lasso boa boa, a Shengang Wu that Clay ends up using a lot because it falls under the category of Earth. Yeah, the Shengang Wu have different categories, different like Earth, Water, Fire, and I like that the powers all fall under those categories, but then there's some that like kind of get confusing for me, like the Sphere of Yoon, you know, that captures somebody. What does that have to... I digress. Jack has a new kind of robot, which is these Wuya bots. They show up a lot in the video game, and I just like that they're utilized here. And they just spill ink at every chance they get, which is kind of insane.
You are the world-famous Master Monk Guan!
Where?
Nice of you to join us, Dojo, now that the battle is over.
Another cool thing is they're saved by this man named Master Monk Guan, which turns out to be a hero. Thank God, because I'm tired of getting all these new villains with barely any new heroes. But this is a really welcome one. We learn that he fought alongside Grandmaster Dashi, which we know from the lore of the first season, and a new guy named Chase Young. Ooh, interesting. So he ends up helping them defeat Jack Spicer, Omi being super smitten by him because he is just really cool of a guy. And I am too. I think he's awesome. This guy is like the perfect Shaolin warrior, and the fact we haven't heard from him or like are being introduced to him now, it makes me feel like, why isn't he associated with the temple so much? Like that seems to be an important plot point. And what does he do now? Like, I don't understand. He's really impressed by Dojo, which also confuses me because it's like, if you knew Grandmaster Dashi so well, how do you not know the guy who hid all the Shengang Wu? But then again, age is kind of ridiculous in this show. They don't really explain how people live and die because it's so confusing. He convinces Dojo to come with him to visit an old friend.
You know, I can still fit into the same swimming trunks I wore 1,500 years ago.
You mean your old toga?
What a dojo!
Meanwhile, Dojo this is kind of his episode. Everybody makes fun of him for eating so much, and despite the fact he's like doing all the Shengang Wu locating, it just seems like they don't appreciate him. So he gets like really excited by the idea of going with Master Monk Guan until he realizes that Master Monk Guan's selling him to Chase Young.
That's right.
Chase Young? As in the Master of Evil, the guy who makes your lower lip quiver, Chase Young? Sorry, but I gotta go.
Yeah, Chase Young is this new villain that we just met, somebody that used to fight on the team of Xiaolin, but we still don't really know what his deal is. He's just this Prince of Darkness, and he's really into Dojo, which is uncomfortable to say the least. As they look for Dojo, they don't know what happened to him, but they still have to fight and get Shengang Wu, so they don't even question it. They just leave their friend behind. Come on. They end up going to see the Monsoon Sandals, which Jack gets to first. Oh my gosh. And it just makes your legs super tall, which, couldn't you just use the Lotus Twister, which extends your limbs? I hate when they, like, have Shengang Wu that almost cancel each other out. All around, though, it doesn't even matter. Learn about Chase Young through Jack Spicer's lens.
Chase Young, the greatest super evil genius of all times, Chase Young?
I do have a certain reputation.
One one of the evilest people ever, and Wuya even takes a liking to him. He's definitely showing like an unrealistic amount of strength, especially against the monks, and as he drinks his Lao Mang Lone soup, which does matter, by the way, keep in mind that's going to come up again later, he just defeats them without thinking about it. I love it when villains are like that good. We learned that Master Monk Guan indeed sold Dojo, which the monks don't believe at first until they approach Master Monk Guan and he gives them an explanation. We learn more of the backstory that go even before Shengong Wu, which I love that we get that.
Years ago, I fought Chase Young. The battle went on for days, severely testing our wills to win.
And he and Chase Young had fought for so long, very anime style, black and white, and the imagery here is very interesting. I can't believe they chose this animation style. They explain why Chase wanted Dojo. Turns out to stay forever young, he needs to eat a dragon, which never comes up again for the rest of the series, but is kind of important here. The Lao Mang Lone soup is made up of this dragon. And we even see, like, brief image of the Chi creature, which comes up later, and I love that. This is so cool. All the ancient relics in this show definitely send a cool vibe. So once we learn Chase Young is planning to eat Dojo, the stakes really get raised, and the monks have to approach this evil villain. Once they get there, we're scared for them because it's like, wow, this guy is really strong. And he reveals that he has an even stronger side where he could turn into a reptilian. Oh my gosh.
You're even more hideous than Wuya! I love it!
The new sequel series, they really ruin this for us, especially Chase Young as a villain, but I digress. I'm not going to get into that travesty. When we're worried about the monks, like, surviving this, because we saw how evil he can be, like, we just think it's all going to be over. Even the regular elements don't help. But the one person who is able to stop him comes in to save the day, Master Monk Guan.
Chase Young, I challenge you to a showdown.
A plain old regular showdown? We haven't had one of those in a long time.
No Shengong Wu.
And for the first time, we get a showdown that's like aside from the main cast and just focuses on all the action and martial arts that the show represents. It shows that Shengong Wu are actually used by less strong warriors, and the real warrior can fight without them, which is a really interesting concept, despite the fact we spent so long learning on what they did and how they worked. Like, suddenly they're actually just a crutch for real power, and that theme is so interesting to me. So we get a really awesome emotion-filled battle between Chase and Master Monk Guan that only proves the show's just as interesting without Shengong Wu than it is just looking for them. We learn that Chase's jungle cats are actually fallen warriors, which is another really cool aspect.
I see you now for what you are, and not for what you pretend to be. Repel the beast!
The monks and Dojo get along once again, and they say that they judged him too soon, and that's fair. I like that everybody learned their lesson, and that we could see Dojo as a really important Xiaolin character. Still confused how he and Master Monk Guan didn't know each other, but I'm gonna leave it at that. He gives Omi his sphere of Guan. Master Monk Guan having his own arc within a 4-person story is already crazy, but they do it so well. Like, having him not believe that he's as strong as he could be without his spear of Guan it's just such a cool story, and it really makes the monks like understand the perspective of Shengong Wu in this whole dark arc. So all around, yeah, good episode, and it's getting darker. We're almost at the mid-season point where things even get kicked up further, which is nice because I feel like up until now, like, it's just very like Monster of the Week type, and it just gets even more crazy.
Then he outran you? No! Oh, then he must have outsmarted you with one of his underhanded trickeries. Just drop it, okay, Omi?
Episode 12 is one of my favorites because we haven't had a good Kimiko episode in literally forever. Like, why in the world do we not need to focus on her at this moment? Come on, guys. It starts with her and the monks running to get the mosaic scale against Jack Spicer. He quickly is about to get away with it, but the monks end up victorious in this one. They start bugging her because she's a girl and that's why she lost it, which never ceases to amaze me how sexist like these characters can be. But I like that it's not like necessarily the writers of the show, it's just the premises about overcoming what that looks like to be sexist. Like, I like how that's the plot. And Chase Young is suddenly a mainstay, watching everything the monks do, which only makes the viewer more uneasy because it's like, why does he have such dark intentions? I love that this is like the plot point we're focused on.
What is your purpose?
Hi Chase, it's Jack. I thought you might want to, hang out.
I do not hang out.
Jack starts to try to hang out with him, and he wants to get him like Shengang Wu, but, Chase explains why he doesn't need it, and wow, you just have a lot more respect for him. Jack is just so fake and evil, and Chase is like really authentic and genuinely evil, so them going up against one another really shows like how they view the world.
I'd even consider your disturbing proposition. You must first bring me something of value.
Later, Kimiko ends up accidentally breaking the mosaic scale, and this little bug thing gets out of it, and you don't really know what's going on, and Kimiko kind of hides it from everybody, which is a very interesting character choice on her part. But this bug ends up infecting Clay. Clay starts acting really weird in their training, and they just don't know what's going on. Kimiko doesn't suspect that she has to do with this, which is even more confusing. Clay runs into the vault trying to steal Shengang Wu for himself, only to run into Jack Spicer. It's so funny because it's like an awkward moment where it's just like Jack assumes he's just been caught stealing Wu, and it's like, that's crazy.
Clay and I have formed an evil super genius alliance.
Clay, I order you to put down those Shengang Wu. I do not wish to hurt you. Huh? Uh-oh.
Later, we learn that they didn't steal the mosaic scale. Kimiko just hid it. And so she comes honest to the cast. And it's really cool to see her like own up to it, especially halfway through the episode, and her being committed to ending her mistake. We learn how Jack Spicer actually views turning evil, and it has to be like the person's choice, and Clay wasn't choosing it.
One can only be truly evil when one chooses its path. Clay has not. I see we are still up to our old trick, Sabini.
And oh my god, it's so cool that he's like such a dark villain in that way. Like, it really shows his morals. Kimiko starts to make up for her mistake, and I really like seeing a plot that has her redeem herself. Omi has his first interaction one-on-one with Chase Young, and this scene is so much more important than I'd ever gave it credit for. Even being in the Season 2 opening trailer, it's just basically him connecting with Chase Young, realizing that maybe he's a little bit more like him than he thinks.
Your skills are most impressive. It is unfortunate you are on the wrong side.
I was just thinking the same about you.
Chase Young even gives him a tool to stop Sabini, which Omi ends up taking, despite him being evil. Like, these guys just see past good and evil and only see intentions and helping people, which is so interesting, I don't even know how to classify it.
Not the strongest opponent who wins, but the strongest willed.
If they get the next Shengang Wu, it actually can trap Sabini in it. So right as they're getting to the Monarch Wings, Kimiko takes on Sabini, finally able to make up for her own mistake in a really epic showdown that I swear I haven't seen her do a showdown in forever. But using the Tangle Webcomb, she does such a good job. She ends up cementing Sabini inside the Shengang Wu, trapping him forever. And Omi secretly tries to keep to himself that he used info from a evildoer in order to help them save the day, which is so interesting. It started being about Kimiko and then became more about Omi, and now is slowly about Chase, so very confusing.
Let's just say I did one small thing for you. One day, maybe you can return the favor.
All around, really successful episode. I'm not really happy with how much we got Kimiko in it, but I do think it did more good than harm. It's only the beginning of a really dark arc with Omi and Chase, and it's so well deserved, especially since we had so many episodic elements so far. Like, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty, except for this next episode. It's actually taking a break from the nitty-gritty.
Dude, can you believe the man broke down and gave us a day off?
No.
It's called The Deep Freeze, and it's another seasonal episode taking place in the snow, and is a lot more about an old Shengonwu than it is a new one. We start with the monks getting ready for summer, and it's just really fun to see the contrast between summer and winter in this specific episode. They're having like a grill out and using Shengonwu for fun, which is definitely like really cool to watch, especially when I was little. I was like, oh, I would use Shengonwu for this stuff. The Lunar Locket is the Shengonwu they're going after, which is kind of ironic because of all this nice summer weather. They're headed to the snowy mountains, and Jack has a new bot who is just a people pleaser, and this is probably the funniest one I've ever seen in the show.
Anything you say, buddy, I like you. And you know why? Because I just do. Isn't life great?
Lunar Locket is one of my favorite Shengonwu. I don't know why seeing them in amulets as opposed to like just regular Shengonwu makes it really effective. I love it a lot. I did this aspect in my musical, The Consequences of Victoria Gray, where her job is to collect amulets, not just Shengonwu. So like that's how you could tell my inspiration from this show really shines. Jack ends up getting the Shengonwu, but right as they're about to escape, the people pleaser bot pretty much kills himself.
Let's go, dude bot. We got what we came for.
I don't like feeling human.
Takes out his Heart of Zhong, which, oh my god, yeah, he used the Heart of Zhong to be a real robot. Okay, so it's actually different than Jack's usual robots. Very creepy. And so they drop the Heart of Zhong with nobody able to get it back. I don't know why the Shaolin monks don't do that. So it basically falls into the snow, creating an entire snowman evil monster. Just when you think that the monster of the week's over, yeah, no, this is another one. So Jack ends up being the one with the Lunar Locket. I might have mistaken that before. And he's playing with the moon, which is something I would do too.
Stop playing with the moon, Jack. It isn't a toy.
Master Feng gives the monks advice about despair, and it's kind of dark. They're like, go get your Shengonwu back, essentially. So they run back to Jack's, and this is another time they actually set out to steal from him. Oh my gosh. So they find him being like sad and pathetic. Turns out he's been raided, and the snowman ended up taking all his Shengonwu.
I have no robots. I'm weak and helpless.
We are Shaolin warriors. We must protect the weak, even if it is Jack Spicer.
That means yes, doesn't it?
Yippee!
So the snowman ends up converting this entire area to a snow palace, which he is the ruler of. Oh my gosh. He has the intention of freezing the entire Earth. Something really dark and worse than Jack Spicer. It does have a lot of high stakes in this one, bringing us back to the snow when apparently it was summer. I can't believe that fact. And Jack like begs for help from the Shaolin monks, which is so funny to think about. They end up using the Star Hanabi to get all the snow out of the Shaolin temple, only infuriating the snowman enough for him to come back down and fight them again. And they end up having a Xiaolin Showdown. Oh wow. So in this hockey match, Omi faces off against the snowman, only to finally knock the heart out of him, a simpler solution than what they had with Mala Mala Zhong, the last person with the heart, and they end up coming up on top with all the Shengonwu as of late. By the very end of the episode, when everything is said and done, Master Feng gives them all new dark blue outfits, and I just am so excited. Like, it's like everything is kicked up a notch by the end. So the Deep Freeze may not be like a super exciting episode, but it does introduce the fact that they have new type of outfits, which doesn't seem great on the surface, but they're like Wudai warrior outfits. Like, they need to fight harder evil, and that's totally the new identity of this show. Now, we'll get into the next 13 episodes and really figure out the decline of how Omi and Chase Young develop their relationship, and Xiaolin Showdown becomes a show worth remembering for the ages.